Hey listener, you're tuned in to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two long-distance soul sisters recap romance novels and stay connected via a genre we both love. There's also very healthy doses of giggling, irreverence, and cursing, as is our norm. This week, we actually have 2 Patreon shoutouts. The first goes out to Jennifer S. Jennifer, you are the Hermes of smut and embracing your weird. Your particular wheelhouse is when something seems questionable on the surface, but will bring hours of joy, self-reflection, and giggles. You are clever, mischievous, and most of all, heartfelt in your pursuits and relationships. Just like Hermes was a god with varying and vast responsibilities under his umbrella, your beneficence knows few bounds. What more can I say about the person who brought Grace Goodwin into our lives? You're truly a treasure. And next, this goes out to Allie S. No relation. Allie, you are a modern-day acolyte of Artemis. You appreciate the forests and hills she governed, and you're a lover of animals, but you also apply her principles to your modern-day interests. You come to your pursuits with an excitement akin to wild abandon, and you're always on the hunt for your next passion project. Meanwhile, the purity of focus you apply to your loved ones and the protective instincts you cultivate with children and those less fortunate than you would make your virginal, bow-carrying goddess proud. And just like the moon Artemis loved, you have the ability to cast a soft, comforting glow on even the darkest situation. And now, I hope you packed your plaid and your dirk, because we're going back to Highlander times with part 1 of The Highlander Takes a Bride by Lynsay Sands. Hi, Erin.
Hi, Melody.
Are you nervous?
I'm so nervous.
You seem a little bit nervous.
I'm watching these little squiggle lines like a hawk. I'm making sure that they're recording. Oh God,
it's okay. You gotta let go. You gotta let go a little bit.
I let go last night, and look what happened.
We had a bit of a catastrophe. So we usually record the Sunday before, so that I have a lot of time to edit.
The Sunday before.
Correct. So 8 days before.
Yes.
Right. So I have a week to edit and be a perfectionist and be a crazy person. Right. Like, my wheelhouse.
Right.
But this week we were like, oh shit, like schedules are wonky.
We've been doing this a year.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's do it live. We can do this.
So we did it on Friday night. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it was a good episode.
It was
I'm not gonna lie to you
guys, and you're never gonna hear it. You're never gonna know.
I mean, I might just upload it for the patrons just to show them like the possible whatever, like if they want to go down that road. So then Erin is gonna upload her end of it and realizes that her computer took some kind of poop all over our plans.
I don't know what happened. I sounded like a little scratchy record, like I had like a DJ being like, ooh, ooh, on all my words, and I don't know why. And there was like this weird crackle sound, and the internet says it's because I had too many windows up, but y'all, I did not have that many windows up. Like I just had
sneaky ones in the background.
All I had was Chrome and Kindle, and I don't know. So now I'm really scared because like I don't have much windows up now, but like I didn't have much windows up then either.
No, I think we're fine.
It's just like I had a reliable computer and like now I don't anymore.
Yeah, your reality is shattered. No, I hear you.
We need to build trust back between me and my Mac.
I know. And we're all going to do it together.
Yeah.
So we are recording 2 days before release, which is fine because a lot of times I procrastinate to the point that I basically only have 2 days to edit the episode. You know, it's just nice to have the cushion sometimes.
Last night when I was laying awake, sweating bullets, eyes as big as saucers, staring at my ceiling, thinking, what's going to happen? Because you guys, you have to understand, I found this information out long after Melody's in bed. I find out at 10 p.m. It's 2 a.m. Melody time, so I can't even talk to her about it. I'm just like, the episode is shit. I don't know what to do. When are we going to record? I can't call Melody. I'm like texting her. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what to do. And like, yeah, what I was thinking about was like, oh no, Melody's going to be so upset. But like, also, doesn't she kind of start editing the day before usually anyway?
Not usually, but there are definitely occasions when like life happens and I figure it out still.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is just one of those things. It's totally cool. I am not upset. I have not been upset all day. I was just like, great, we get to talk about this book again. Because it was a really fun time, honestly. Yeah. So let's do it.
Yeah, you want to talk about this book again. Oof.
So, I will tell you that one thing that I did right before this, just to like really gear up and get in the right mindset, was that I took a bit of a bubble bath. Yeah. Actually, also, listener, when we pulled up the FaceTime, Erin thought she was talking to some sort of mummy monster because I also had a sheet mask on.
Yes, she did.
When I answered. So I've been like pampering myself in preparation for the emergency editing. But the bubble bath honestly helped.
Bubble baths help everything.
They do. And we all know that our pals over at Bubbles and Books always have you covered. It's a monthly subscription box and it's fucking amazing because it combines all of our favorite things. Each month, if you decide to sign up, you get a romance novel curated to your personal taste.
Yes.
What kind of things do they have, Erin?
So they have the paranormal kind. If you're into werves and vamps, you can get a paranormal book. They have a contemporary one for contemporary bad boys. And they have England Times one called the Swept Away box. So you can get swept away into another time. So whatever you're into, they're going to give it to you. And then the Bubbles portion of the Bubbles and Books is like curated. It's like themed to the experience of reading the books. You're going to get a bath bomb. It's going to make the water all awesome and color it and make it bubblesy.
Yeah.
You're going to get some kind of a scent in there. Good stuff.
And an artisan soap.
Yeah.
There's a soap that'll like nourish and soften your skin.
Yes.
And then there's always like 2 or 3 either bath or book related goodies. So like just nice little accessories for either your bath or your reading experience.
It's a surprise for yourself that you got for yourself or a friend, because gift giving season is coming up. So if you've got an HB in your life, this is a great Christmas present as well.
It really is. And if you go to the website and you type in Bosoms20, BOSOMS at the checkout, Bosoms20, that'll get you 20% off your first month.
I love that we're in an experience where our special code is bosoms.
I am so into it.
I love it.
And P.S., they know us because I was like, if you'd like some suggestions as to the code, and they were like, no, we got this. It's bosoms.
Yeah, we want it to be bosoms.
They are our people.
Yes. No, honestly, I'm so glad that this company reached out to us just so that I would know about this company. Because I'm so excited to get my box. So
I know. It's super cool.
All right.
So there was a poll in the cult that was like, what kind of episode do you like the best? And one of the options was Erin hates the book and Melody desperately tries to understand her perspective. And I feel like this might be one of those.
This is the one, because guys, I did not enjoy this reading experience. I did not like it. Oof.
I found this book to be mostly charming.
Charming?
Okay, wait. All right, hold on. I have to tell you one thing.
Charming? These people charmed you?
Listen, this week there was not going to be a lot of time where I could actually put my face in a book. And so I got the Audible as well as like the book so that I could read along or highlight or whatever. But I think I will forgive a lot for a Scottish Brogue. I think
the Scottish accent
what is happening
has covered some of the just like heinous behavior of the main characters in this book.
This is what I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm afraid. Like, I think I'm lucky. I never did study abroad in Scotland or something. Because really, a psychopath probably could have crossed my path and I would have absolutely no inkling because of the accent.
So if I had texted you last night that the episode was Vera fucked up and
and you're gonna have to re-record with me.
Yeah. And that you are gonna be upset, but I'm so sorry for ye. You would have forgiven it a little bit easier.
I mean,
you forgave it easy anyway.
You immediately. So yeah, definitely. So here's the thing. I was able to take off my contemporary lens much more easily and forgive things by being like, oh, it's just Highlander times. Like, he's reacting like this because Highlander times.
There's so much involved here that has nothing to do with the time period and only to do with these two main characters just being heinous people who I cannot get behind in any fashion.
They're definitely assholes.
Yeah, sociopaths. If I had to retitle this book, it would be called Sociopaths in Love, No One Gives a Fuck About Fenella. That's what I would call it. Oh, wait, you guys, we read The Highlander Takes a Bride.
Oh, yeah.
From the Highland Brides
Sands.
series. Highland Brides series by Lynsay Sands. Okay.
Yeah. I still enjoyed it. Because here's the other thing. It combines romance with intrigue and murder plots. And there's action and there's external conflict, which you like.
Yeah, if somebody were just to write this down as a plot on Goodreads and be like, Erin, would you be into this plot? I would be like, yes, 100%. I am there for that. But then if they were going to add that the two main characters are the meanest people you've ever met in your life, and also the sex scenes were going to be like 95% perfect, and then just throw in like one phrase that made your whole body go, then I would say maybe not for me.
Oh, fair. Well,
and you know what?
All right.
I can get behind a couple of sociopaths in love if the book starts out like, Sade was a sociopath, and because of that, she had no empathy for others. That's fine. But like, they wanted us to think she was like a kind-hearted lady. Anyway, all right. Okay, prologue. All right.
So we've got Sade and Greer. Greer is the bro.
Sade is the lady.
Yes. And in the prologue, shit goes down immediately.
Oh my God.
Like here's, I will say, a couple of the things that, well, I mean, we're obviously going to go into it, right? But one of the things that drove me crazy was just like lady pain as plot device. I mean, particularly Fenella. So here we are.
This bitch.
Sade is going to pee. And she needs to go far away from camp because she knows that her brothers will prank her.
Let's tell this chronologically, because this is the morning after the night before, and the night before is very, very important. Okay. So
the night before, she was at her cousin's wedding.
Her cousin
and the
Fenella,
wedding feast.
Who's marrying her first husband, Hamish. At this time, she just thinks it's going to be her only husband, but it's going to be her first husband. So Fenella's marrying Hamish. Sade, our heroine, is attending the wedding. She gets blasted at this wedding. She's...
just fall down drunk.
Dunzo. Her 7 brothers drank her under the table. She goes upstairs to her bedchamber. She passes by Fenella, her cousin's bedchamber. This is Fenella's wedding night with Hamish.
This is the marital suite.
Yes.
So, like, everybody knows what's going on.
Right.
Because they have ceremonially sent them upstairs to fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. This is the ceremony of doing it. And she passes by the marital bed, and she hears Fenella screaming bloody murder, and registers that this was not a scream of, like, ecstasy or fun. This was a scream of, like, mortal danger and pain. And she's
she thinks to herself, well, I mean, it's supposed to hurt, right?
Yeah. She's like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, they say it hurts. And, like, meanwhile, Fenella's in there just like, ah!
Oh, and yeah, like she's being murdered.
Yeah, Sade's like, not my business. I'm just gonna go. I also hate Fenella for no reason anyway. I'm just gonna go to sleep. Okay, Sade. Then she goes to sleep, and then she wakes up a couple hours later to more screaming from the room where she's like, ah! And she's like, ugh, God, what a loser. And like goes back to sleep. Dear Sade, like, like right from the start, she's a bitch to this woman, Fenella. Like, right out the gate, she's like, she's getting raped. Anyway, I'm sleepy. I'm going to go to sleep.
Tired.
That doesn't warrant a knock on the door or maybe I should get my 7 brothers to make sure she's not being murdered to death. No. Nor the second time. Even if the first time she was like, oh, yeah, I have heard it hurts the first time. Then, like, 2 hours
then
later.
What was happening the second time?
Yeah, and she's still screaming, maybe get your ass out of bed. And, like, the author spends, like, a page being like, Sade was pretty drunk, and Sade was pretty tired, and Sade didn't really like Fenella very much, and Fenella's a pretty dramatic person. Like, I'm like, Lynsay, stop being an apologist for Sade here. Sade just let her cousin get raped. That's what happened. So already I'm like, I don't know about this chick.
Well, and then the next morning, she goes down to breakfast, and they do the Highlander Times thing where they show the sheets. And she's like, I mean, I've been to a wedding feast before, and it doesn't look like an entire grown hog actually died on the sheets.
Yeah, usually there's like a couple spots of blood. This sheet has like, is like red with blood, like somebody was murdered on it. And Sade's just
laugh
like,
because it's so terrible.
Yeah, yes. We're not laughing at it. We're laughing at this book for treating it horribly. And so Sade thinks to herself, wow, that's a lot of blood. That's an inappropriate amount of blood. Does she like turn to Fenella and be like, hey girl, you okay? Because I noticed that all your blood is up there on the sheet and not inside you where it should be.
She does say that she like says hi to her. She's like, good morn or something. And she notices that Fenella is very pale.
Very pale, very sad, very skittish.
And then like sort of looks away from her in terror. Yeah. And then she's like, I see some sausage and eggs over there.
Yeah, she's like,
some bannocks.
Bear claws, home. Like, just like, she's like, anyway, whatever.
So we are off the beaten path because Sade needs to relieve herself. And then she hears the blood-curdling scream of a man probably dying.
Yeah.
And this is enough.
Now, So all last night, she has heard the blood-curdling screams of her own cousin getting straight up raped. Then this morning, she sees all the blood of her cousin up on a sheet. She sees that her cousin's very upset. She doesn't do shit about that. But she's in the forest, and she hears a man be like, ouch! And she's like, oh, I gotta cut this off midstream. Yeah, no peeing for me. And like put her thing and runs through the forest. I'm like, Sade.
Priorities, bro.
Yeah, we're like 10 pages in, and I've written what a bitch like several times in the margins already.
So she goes up to this scene. Hamish is on the ground. There's a knife. Wound in his chest. Fenella is holding a bloody knife.
Yeah. And Bing Boong Bong, what does Sade do? She takes that bloody knife away from Fenella. If you come across a murder scene, Bing Boong Bong murder scenes with Erin, there's been a murder.
Right.
Do not pick up the murder weapon. You're going to get framed for that murder. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not in Highlander Times.
You're still going to get blood on you and stuff. What if she grabbed that knife out of Fenella's hand and then another Highlander bro walked out of the woods and was like, oh, Fenella's holding that knife. She's going to hang. Or, I mean, sorry, Sade is holding that knife now. Yeah, you don't know. Totally. That's all the evidence they need in Highlander Times. Don't touch murder weapons, guys. Don't do that.
So she's like, did bandits come upon ye? And I was like, no. And she's crying hysterically. No, I killed him.
I straight murdered him.
Because I couldn't stand for him to rape me again. Yeah. And Sade's like, sweetie, you're married to him. That's not a thing.
That's not what a rape is.
Which, again, hashtag Highlander Times. I don't know.
Sure.
Like, no.
But also current president of the United States times. It
also,
doesn't.
Maybe
it's whatever.
You know, it's blurry.
It's whatever times you're in. It's just not woke times.
Yeah. Not woke times. So Fenella's like, last night he crazy hurt me. And then once he was raring to go again, he flipped me over and he took me in unnatural ways. And Sade is like, oh, I know what that is.
Yeah. Not only is she like, I know what up the butt is because my brothers told me about it.
Yeah.
But also she's like, oh, so that was the second round of screaming. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that makes so much sense now.
I'm piecing it together now. The first screams were when you were vaginally raped, and then a couple hours later, the second round of screams, that was when you were anally raped.
Oh, it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
So she's like, he was about to attack me again and do all the things, and so I just grabbed his knife and I stabbed him in the heart. Mm-hmm. And Sade's like, well, the church would kill him anyway for being a sodomite.
For doing
so
it
I
in
don't
the booty.
see. Yeah, so I don't see why you can't kill him in self-defense.
Right.
So as a result, we are going to cover this up and make it look like banditry.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Which is fine. Good job, Sade. Good rational thinking, Sade. But here's the thing.
Doesn't have a little chat about it.
No.
At all.
She drags this log up from the forest, and Fenella's confused, and she's like, "'Tis too warm for a fire now."
Right. And she's like, bandits?
Sade's like, shut up, bitch. Like, God, you're so whiny all the time. Like, just stop talking. Anyway, when they ask you what happened, say that bandits come. And Fenella's basically like, what? And then Sade just fucking clobbers her skull in with this log without even like asking if she's like on board for this plan, if it's okay. Knocks her the fuck out.
Just lays her out.
Yeah. And then Sade goes over to the edge of the clearing and starts screaming as if she just came upon them, which is a good plan, Sade.
All good plans.
But you've gotta talk to Fenella about that plan before you just like clobber her in the head.
Yeah, especially for the amount of times within the book that she's like, yeah, Fenella's pretty useless and weepy and not very smart. Like, you really need to make sure that you're on the same page before you enact said plan with unconsciousness.
Yeah, and maybe a concussion was not the way to go because you often don't remember what happens right before you get a concussion. So I could see Fenella coming to and being like, what happened? I know I stabbed my husband to death, but then after that, I don't remember anything at all. Yeah. I could definitely see that happening. So maybe clobbering her in the arm or the legs would have been a better...
Mayhap.
But these are things they could have discussed. That's all I'm saying.
Sure. So, long story short, well, long story prolong, they successfully cover up this murder. Now, chapter 1. Sade is visiting friends who had a baby. There's a lot that we're going to herbs over this, even in the podcast, because I think it has to do with previous books and then
future, who knows?
Setting up subsequent books. Yeah. So like it doesn't matter. All we know is that Sade is talking to friends.
Right. One of the friends has just come from the McConnell castle and she was delayed.
The McDonnell castle. Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she was delayed because somebody died there and it was like, oh God, they're all fucking sociopaths. Like, I just don't understand. She was like, oh my God, somebody died there who was like her cousin maybe or some kind of relation. I don't remember.
Yeah, who knows?
And she's like, and because he just died and he was like young or whatever, we were supposed to like stay a couple days for the funeral.
We couldn't like come see your baby.
Yeah,
like,
sorry, we like had to console people. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. Like, Jesus, Edith. Anyway, that's a name you're never going to hear again in the whole book.
Never.
But
never.
So here's what happened. Fenella is now on husband number 4.
Whoa.
Husband number 4's name is Alan. He drowned in the loch a couple of days ago.
Right. He is strong and strapping and young.
Mm-hmm.
And so and a very good swimmer. And he like swam every morning. And so everybody's like, how'd this guy die? This is crazy pants.
How weird. And Fenella's on husband number 4 because husbands number 1 through 3 have all died young. Well, not young, but under mysterious circumstances or whatever.
And shortly after they wed.
Right.
Yeah.
So number 1 was Hamish. We already went through that.
Right.
Number 2 was an old dude who was old and died shortly after doing sex to her on the wedding night.
Yeah.
Husband number 3 was another young dude who died getting bucked off his horse.
And so with the first one, or with the second one, the old dude, okay, can I just say that, like, authors out there everywhere, you do not need to tell me 6 times within a few pages that he died because he was laying next to a beautiful wife and the excitement was too much. You don't need to tell me that with the exact same phrasing from other people's perspectives over and over again.
How often does this happen
the concept
in the world? The old dudes die because they can't do sex? Because I feel like that's pretty rare, right? That they just get so horned up that they just cannot deal with it?
I think it was more in the gentry,
Oh, okay.
They don't have very good constitutions, those gentry.
This is the male definition of swooning. Like, women swoon, men just keel over because it's too sexy.
Yeah.
I guess.
So people are like, this bitch is either cursed or she's a murderess. And Sade is sitting there quietly saying, she might be a murderess because she murdered the first one.
Yeah. I know that she is a murderess. Whether or not she's a 4 times murderess, I don't know.
Yeah. So Sade decides she's going to go to that castle and investigate and make sure that her cousin hasn't morphed into a Black Widow while Sade wasn't paying attention.
Right.
So then we meet the new laird of the castle, Greer. And we meet him under the most charming circumstances. He's just the picture of chivalry. He is doing so many good dude things when we meet him.
I mean,
I'm lying to you.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it opening this way if she was treated differently. Okay, here's what happens.
Yes.
I don't have a problem with what he's doing at all. I have a problem with what comes later.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we open up, we meet our hero, and there is a maid just bobbing up and down underneath his plaid. He's in a field somewhere and just getting a casual BJ from a maid who doesn't have a name for the first 3 to 5 whole pages. It's a long time before we find out this is a person named Millie.
Yes.
Before that,
just a sex robot.
I mean, and her whole persona is sex robot. Her whole persona is Randy Maid. She never gets anything more than that. No. There's nothing about her.
Right.
And it's really actually kind of fucked up because she's set up as this foil to the heroine. And so
kind of, but I really feel like her function in the book is just to tell us right at the beginning of the book, number 1, Greer fucks. And number 2, he's got a big dong. Those are the two things that we need to know. And then Millie can just fuck off to another part of the book and we never see her again.
Never.
But okay,
I really thought she was going to get revenge. Yeah. She was going to be... I thought she was going to be...
I thought Millie was going to be the murderer. But no. #justice for Millie. #justice for Fenella. Mostly justice for Fenella, as you guys will see.
I was going to say.
But a little bit justice for Millie. But mostly poor Fenella. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, fair.
All right.
Okay.
So he's in a clearing, getting a bead from Millie.
And his squire. His squire, who we find out a little while later is 9 years old.
9 years old. Which is ridiculous in how he's written in this book. See, listen. You hated this book as much as me. Look at you. Look at you.
No, I found it to be delightful.
Okay, all right.
I did. It has problems. It is, quote unquote, problematic.
It is problems. No, it's not. That's the problem here. It's not problematic. It is problems.
No, it's also problematic.
Yeah, but to me, it's less problematic than it is. It's not like it's not woke. It's that it's sociopaths. It's not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's that the characters are fundamentally unlikable. Not that they're not feminist enough for me throughout.
I liked them.
Oh my God.
I liked them.
You were just blinded by his sexiness. Anyway, he's getting a bead from Millie.
I was blinded by his accent.
Squire comes in.
So this 9-year-old comes up and he's like, Sir, we have visitors.
Sir.
Oh no, the sky is falling. We've got to do things. And he's like, do you see that I have my cock in a woman's mouth?
And he's like yes, I do. I'm 9 years old and I understand this fully. This has been my life.
Yeah, completely. So actually, he shoves Millie off a bit, and she's a little offended.
Yeah, she switches to hands so that she can keep a grip on there in some way. She's got to keep a tight seal. She can't
she cannot be parted from that beast.
This maid is so horny, you guys.
So she's stroking him off right there. I mean, she's got her back. She's obscuring the scene somehow from the 9-year-old.
No, the author says that, but I can't imagine a situation where this 9-year-old doesn't know exactly what's going on, especially considering what he sees later in the book. He knows what's up.
He knows.
In fact, he comments on it, doesn't he?
What do you mean?
Doesn't he say something like, "Oh, you couldn't hold off 10 minutes getting your kilt swung up by Millie or something like that. Didn't he say something like that?
I don't know.
I'm going to look for it. I think the 9-year-old did say something to
Yikes,
that
so
effect.
Okay, yeah. So he sends the squire away because he just can't handle himself anymore.
I'm sorry. No? Okay, Fenella, I'm sorry. This is going to be throughout. This was the thing that really upset me throughout the book was how mean they were to poor Fenella. So this is how this goes. Lady Fenella sent me to find ye, the boy blurted. She was wondering where ye are. O' course she was, Greer said dryly. Get this. Listen to this sentence. He had arrived at McDonald only a week ago. 1 week ago. Just in time for his cousin's funeral. That's Fenella's husband. But it had quickly become obvious that the late laird's widow was a pain in the ass. She was forever weeping and whining and moping about the castle like some tragic ghost, and most often she wanted somebody to weep and whine at. What? Her husband died a week ago. And this guy's like, oh my God, this bitch will not stop crying about her dead husband.
So loud.
No empathy.
And so annoying.
Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Zero empathy.
She's really complicating his life, Erin.
Oh
he wanted to come in and just have an easy time as laird of the castle, okay? And I don't know why you have to be
to her.
So judgmental. You're just judgmental.
Husband, who she loved, just died. This is her 4th dead husband in 4 years. And not only has her husband died, but her husband's mom is blaming her for murdering him somehow, even though she wasn't even in the lock with him at the time. And now she has no claim to this castle. She's no longer the lady of the whatever.
She has no anything. She's has no money.
Thrown out on her ass, or she's going to stay there and be hated by, like, there's no good future for this woman.
She's completely at the mercy of the
woman who thinks she's murdered her son.
And and her mother-in-law who thinks she murdered her son. Yeah, she's in a precarious situation, but I don't know why she has to cry about it, Erin.
Yeah. And later Sade is like, there's some part of me that because she was only married to Alan, that's his name, for a few weeks, there's some part of me that believes that all this crying Fenella is doing is less about her dead husband and more about her situation in life. And it's like,
which is like, yes.
Okay.
That's also valid.
Yeah, that's fine. That's a good thing to cry about right now.
She's in a very scary place.
You know why? Because Sade, you're her only relative and you give 0 fucks about her. You're like, God, why does she keep screaming while she's getting raped? I'm trying to sleep over here. That's the best person she has in her life. Sade.
She actually does say that. We'll get to it. Yeah.
Okay, but then, I'm sorry, I'm still here. We're still in the clearing with Millie.
Keep going.
Because I also mentioned that the sex in this book is good, except for sometimes. So we had this great thread in the Facebook group about what phrases take you out of romance novels. So I've been kind of noticing them recently. Wrap your noggins around this phrasing. Okay. Greer groaned and grabbed her head through the plaid for balance. He's sitting on the... For balance, like he's on the ground. No,
he's standing.
He was standing.
She dropped to her knees. Yeah,
I don't remember.
Millie dropped her knees.
So he's grabbing her head for balance.
Square to fuck
off. That's fine.
Yeah.
As she clasped his hips in her hands and began to move her mouth. Get ready, guys. Lustily over his organ. Lustily. Have you ever in your life done anything lustily?
I don't think so.
No. And then later it says, within moments, he was roaring with release as he spilled himself down her throat. So, guys, woof.
And this is the only way he comes.
Yeah. By
he
roaring.
He is only capable of coming while roaring.
Every time. Sometimes he bites back the roar. So it's like... but all the times it's like... it's a beast.
But yeah. And like, there are so many moments where it's like, Greer, read the situation. Like, there are so many moments later on in the book when her 7 brothers are there. And they're like, hey, guys... remember how we told you the doors are real thin?
Yeah.
We can hear you fucking.
Yeah. And she's like a freight train
roar.
too. She's like, choo choo. I guess that's more of a bird noise, but still.
Right.
The first, it was like a train and then a bird.
And frankly, the descriptions of her body.
She is a bird.
Really.
She's a queen
she's
bird,
got
guys.
bird bones.
Yeah, she's got bird bones, so it's fine.
Yeah, between the descriptions of her body and her immediate knee-jerk reaction to always peck Fenella's eyes out, like she is the queen bird.
That should be part of Queen Bird, the game. If you guys are new to the podcast, you need to go find the episode where we talked about Queen Bird. I don't remember which one it was. Have fun trying to find it. But yeah, she's bird boned for sure, but also huge tits, very curvy. So somehow she's a teeny tiny little paper doll of a woman, but with huge boobs.
Mm-hmm. With all those voluptuous parts that you need.
Like the number of times where he just throws her like a baseball and like she just like ends up where she needs to be. Anyway.
Okay. So Sade shows up and she meets who will become to her Aunt Tilda. And this is the former Laird's mother. She finds out that Aunt Tilda thinks that Fenella murdered her son. She's real upset. And then Sade goes up to see Fenella because Fenella has now been sequestered. Since her husband's death, she's been moved out of the master room where she usually had, and she's been put in this tiny little broom closet, like with a cot on the floor. Like it's tiny and it's terrible. Mm-hmm. And she won't come downstairs because everyone thinks she murdered her husband.
Yeah, and she's sad. She doesn't want to be around people.
She's real sad.
That's fine.
So they have this whole talk. And Sade's like, what's going on, you weepy lady? And she's like, I'm just weeping. And she tells her the story of all of her husbands. And then we find out that this last husband, she was actually incredibly excited about.
Loved him so much.
Yeah, he was good to her. He cut her flowers every day. He always ordered her baths before she thought she needed one. He always thought about her. He was always really kind to her, getting her jewelry. Mm-hmm. And
most importantly,
he wanted nothing to do with her vagina.
Yeah, he went in on the marital night, and they don't need to hang up the sheet because she's already been married, so that's good.
Right.
And she's like, I'm real nervous because of how I've been traumatized before, because old man sex wasn't something she was super consenty to either.
No.
And she's like very nervous, and he's like, I can see you're nervous. Don't worry about it. We don't need to do this unless you want to do it. Let me know if you want to have kids and break.
And we'll figure it out. Right. But until then, I'm going to leave you to you. And she's like, oh my God.
This is my Prince Charming.
Yeah, this is everything I've ever wanted.
Yeah.
So Sade's like, interesting. It seems like she had nothing to do with this man's death. Great. Moving on.
So she
comes down the stairs for dinner.
No, you're missing all of the great sociopath moments.
Justice for Fenella.
So Fenella, crying herself to sleep, says, you'll be here when I wake up. Oh, will you know? You'll know, leave me. It just sound to me, when I read Scottish words, it just sounds like a caveman. Okay. You don't leave me, Fenella? All right. Sade hesitated. Now that she was sure Fenella had not killed her husbands, and she was sure, she would have rather gone home than say. But she couldn't say that to Fenella. Jesus Christ. So, no part of her wants to, help out.
Yeah, she's like, mystery solved. Good luck. I'm going to get out of here.
And then poor Fenella says, thank ye, Sade. Ye have always been here when I needed ye. I'm like, oh, if you only knew that while you were getting butt raped by that guy, she was just in the next room being like, oh, should I not say butt raped? I'm sorry. But your whole body went no.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, fair. But
hard.
We're just making fun of this book. We're not making fun of actual things that happen in the world.
No, of course
not.
But
Sade was just like, ugh, I could go over there, but I'm sleepy. So
good.
Or
I'm
she
glad was
Fenella.
Like, wow, I wish she would keep it down over there.
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah, really. Stop screaming, Fenella.
Can you make your rape a little bit more convenient for me? That would be great.
Hashtag justice for Fenella. So I also found the part where the 9-year-old boy talks to Greer about.
Oh my God.
So when Greer goes back to the castle, he gets mad at the squire because the squire didn't tell him that all these people had showed up, to include Sade.
Yeah.
And the squire's like, I tried to tell you about it. That's why Lady Fenella wanted to talk to you to see if it was cool if these people stayed, but you didn't want to come back. Quote, wait, here we go.
Oh, no.
Which ye might have presented had you troubled yourself to return to the castle with me rather than throwing up Millie's skirts like you were still a warrior for hire and not a laird now. And he says, you go too far, lad.
Oh my
So he
gosh.
definitely knew what was going on. Anyway.
Oh, no, he certainly did. Yeah, I'm just saying that I don't think he ever actually saw his dick in her hand. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know how that's logistically possible. I don't understand how she put her
obscured it
hand
with her body
under his kilt. Yeah, but there's movements involved.
Yeah, totally. If there's a big skirt, she's wearing a big skirt, you know. Anyway, I'm just saying it is possible, even though he definitely knows. So then he's sitting at the dinner table and all the people around are being like, you know, we can take Sade back to her house, or she can stay.
Yeah, because everybody else is leaving in the morning. They're just stopping by to drop off Sade.
Yeah. And then everybody's like, well, you know, it's going to have to be up to the new laird. And she comes down the stairs and he's like, oh my gosh, she's out of my prepubescent fantasies, like straight out of my brain parts.
This is the bird bone, big titted lady of my dreams.
That's the one. That's right.
Wanted this specific lady my whole life and I've just met her.
And so he gets insta erection and is like, she stays, and then like hobbles away because he has, and he says he needed to get away and take care of the beast poking at his plaid. Maybe Millie could help with that. He could take her from behind, close his eyes, and pretend it was Lady Sade Buchanan.
Oh my God, justice for Millie. Justice for Millie. So then he finds Millie.
Oh my God, this is the best.
She's ready to go. She comes up to him.
Millie is just immediately, she's like been scrubbing pots and wiping her brow.
Yeah, for him. For his castle.
Yeah, yes. She sees her
servant.
boss.
Okay, all right, okay.
This is like I want to say less than 2 hours after literally ingesting his semen.
Yeah. He just, quote, spilled down her throat right before dinner. This is right after dinner.
She's like, scrub pot. Oh, the laird is in sight. Hold on, I'm going to turn my sex switch on. Mm-hmm. And she just saunters right up to him and she's like, oh, my laird, it looks like you're in need of some assistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she sees his boner.
She immediately grabs said boner, just like with her whole fist, and then goes up on her toes to kiss him or something. And he's like, I now have Lady Sade glasses on, and you, madam, are literally disgusting.
She says that she must have had onions for dinner because she smelled like onions and she's got dirt on her face and that's gross. But like, she's cleaning your fucking castle, man.
How dare she have dirt on her face?
Also, what did Greer have for dinner? Because it's just right after dinner. I'm sure it was just like pineapple juice and like...
not
and he
to
brushed
mention,
his teeth after.
And just mint. He's just eating mint raw.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. No. And then he's like, actually, now that I think about it, I should probably bathe more too because I don't want to be anything like Millie. And actually he says, mayhap he should have said nay to the woman staying. She was a lady after all, not someone he could use for his pleasure and send on her way like the camp followers and Millies of the world.
The Millies of the world. My God.
You know what? Here's the thing, Erin. Here is one thing this book will teach everyone, and that is there is a correct way to be a lady. 1, you should not ever have an emotion, right? First of all, get rid of that.
No emotions.
2, you should not have the audacity to be poor.
No, don't be poor. And if you're poor, be cool about getting dirt on your face when you're literally cleaning like garbage.
Yeah, definitely don't do that. And the other thing is, you need to be sexy, but you should only be sexy in certain ways with certain people at certain times of the day.
Yeah.
And never with like real person odors.
Right.
How dare you?
Right.
Okay. So the next morning, Sade decides she's going to go for a ride because she wants to check out this lock. She's a kind of a murderino.
Yeah, she's doing a little bit of the crime. Murder investigation. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so she rides all the way there, and then she sees Greer coming out of the lock. And he's got the water rippling down his muscles.
He does the thing where his hair's wet and he like flips it back and takes his hands and like puts them through his hair.
He's flipping his hair like Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He is doing all the things. And she says that she's transfixed. Mm-hmm. She wants to see his penis desperately.
Yes.
So she's just sitting on her horse waiting for the penis to appear.
Patiently waiting for the penis.
Right. And he's like, a lady would turn her back. And she's like, ugh, I've never been a great lady or any kind of lady. So let's not even go there.
Right.
She does end up turning her back. They have a whole talk about her upbringing because she's a tomboy.
But wait, can I just say, remember in what was the other Highlander Times book called?
When a Scot Ties the Knot.
Yeah, When a Scot Ties the Knot. Remember Logan McKenzie? Mm-hmm. And he was talking about how to get what's-her-face to like him. And all of his men
his friends
were like, hey, here's what you need to do, bro. You need to go into, you need to make sure she's by the lock. Then you need to take off all your kilts and go into the lock. And then you need to come out of the lock slowly. And they specifically were like, take your hands, run them through your hair and like shake it. Yeah. And that'll make her fall in love with you. And I just love that, like, they read this book, I guess. Because this is how she falls in love with him.
That's exactly how Sade gets hooked.
Yep.
So she's revealing things to him that she doesn't reveal to anybody, like the fact that her mom was like naturally a tomboy too, but she sort of tempered herself so that she could project ladylike behavior for Sade.
Yeah.
And la la la. It was her mom's idea that she wear pants underneath her skirt so that she could do all the things boys did without being improper. That kind of thing. And then they talk about the fact that Sade doesn't think Fenella had anything to do with the death, and Greer's like, I mostly agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fenella's pretty useless, so I don't think she could be capable of it, basically.
So then he asks Sade why she has a sword, because she's got a sword up under her dress, by where she's wearing pants under her dress.
No, it's just a scabbard on her side. She's just blatantly wearing the sword.
Oh, really? I thought she wore it under her dress. No?
No.
Oh. Okay, so anyway, she's got a sword, and he's like, nice sword. And she's like, yeah, my brothers.
Do you know how to use it?
Yeah, my brothers gave it to me. He's like, do you know how to sword fight? Because you know that I'm a warrior. I'm a sword for hire. Mm-hmm. Basically, that's what I do in my life. And she's like, yeah, that's what I do in my life, too. And I'm going to totally beat you at swords. And they're like, okay, let's go have breakfast. Then let's meet back here and do sword fight. And she's like, all right.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to do some sword play. And I'm hoping it might turn into a new kind of sword play.
Like when the sword is his penis, maybe.
That's the one.
That's the
one. So they sort of like race back to the castle. It's really cute. They're bantering. He's just charmed and cackling. And she dismounts. And then he does that thing that alpha bros on horses do to bird-boned women.
Oh.
Where he literally, from his saddle, just reaches down, scoops her up under her boob parts, and puts her in his saddle in front of him.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. I'm sure it's possible.
He does that. He does that or things like that several times in this book.
Yeah.
And at least one time the author's like, he had no idea how he did it. But he just reached for her and magically she ended up in this place. I'm like, well, Lynsay, I'd kind of like to know how he did it. Because it seems impossible.
Yeah, right? So she's like in the feel of his arm under her breasticles. And then she feels something lengthening and hardening on her booty parts. And she's
That's his penis.
That's the one. Yeah.
That's the one. I'm really liking that's the one. Yep, that's it. Bingo.
Yeah. Good job, Erin.
Thank you.
And so she makes a joke about how he's enjoying this a little too much. And he's like, I think I'm probably enjoying it just enough. So, and then he deposits her at the foot of the stairs of the castle. She goes inside. All right.
Breakfast. Uneventful. Meet back.
Nobody cares.
For
they
swords.
Meet back at the lock.
Don't worry. During breakfast, Fenella sobbing. Just so
something
sad.
Happens
no one
with
gives a
crying
shit.
Fenella.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Okay.
So back at the lock. she shows up and she's like, oh, I beat him here. And then he comes out of the clearing to be like, no, I beat you here.
Yeah.
And he makes a lot of banter about seeing her naked.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you could always take a dip if you want. Or, if we're going to still sword fight, that skirt's going to get really inconvenient.
Yeah.
So maybe you should take that off.
So you should take off your dress. But because she has what are the pants called again?
Well,
brays?
They call them brays, but breeches.
Okay. He's like, well, you got your brays on, so it's okay. Just take off your dress. And she's like, the brays don't cover me duckies, which is which is the word they use for boobs in this one. And it's my new favorite word in the whole world.
A new favorite.
Quack,
That's
quack,
right.
Quack.
Oh, don't worry. They quack later. So
she pins up her skirt.
Yeah, she ties up her skirt and then they start fighting times.
Fight.
And they're
Cling,
sparring
Yeah.
and pairing
Uh-huh.
and doing other things that I'm sure we're going to get emails about.
Stabbing.
Yep. And feigning, maybe.
Is that a thing?
Let us know.
We will
Probably.
get one email from one person, and you know who it is. It's Nancy.
That's right.
So don't be like, oh, we're going to get emails. We're going to get a single email from Nancy.
And we're going to love it.
And we're going to love that email. Anyway, sorry.
Yep.
So they're swooping. And
all right. So then, all of a sudden, her skirt comes out. All of those, probably.
Yeah.
So
her
skirt comes off. And then, all of a sudden, her skirt gets caught in the water. And then she's getting pulled back into the lock because lady clothes are heavy when they get wet.
Oh, God. They're so heavy, Melody. Did you notice that they're heavy?
Do you mean the 15 times we were told they were heavy?
So heavy.
When nothing happened? I thought somebody was going to at least try to drown her in like a trough or something.
Right.
And she wasn't going to be able to get out because of her heavy lady clothes.
People love trying to kill Sade later in this book. It's their favorite thing.
Favorite pastime.
Nary a drowning.
And frankly, great pastime.
Yeah.
So she's got her sword in her hand still and she's flailing about. Mm-hmm. And she finally pokes her sword down into the muds. Mm-hmm. And she's like, are you going to help me?
Yeah.
And he's like, are you going to stop trying to murder the air?
Yeah. Are you going to stop all that? Because I can't come near you. Because you're flailing with your sword. I'm not about to get
my dick cut off. Yeah. It's my favorite thing. Mm-hmm. This beast is staying attached to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Also, it's a beast.
Yes.
In case you want to find out.
Because they do call it that.
Yeah. So he helps her. He gets her up. So she's like, I think it's a draw. And he's like, no, I won. And she's like, no, you didn't win. My skirt came down. He goes, I cut your skirt down. And she's like, ugh. How dare you?
Yeah, that's
He's
not
like,
fair.
All's fair, love.
Yep.
All's fair.
Yeah.
And so she sweeps the leg.
And pushes him at the same time so that he falls down.
As he pulls her.
And then he pulls her. And then, guys, they're on top of each other. And it's cold. And it's wet.
And they're nose to nose.
And he says, ye must be cold. Actually, he growls it. He does so much roaring and growling, you guys. He growls, ye must be cold. And she says, I. And he says, I'll warm ye. And she says,
I'll warm ye.
I. And then, you guys,
it's on TM. So they do some kissing.
Yeah.
And then he rolls her over onto her back. And then they do some dry humping. Yeah. And they do a lot of dry humping. And it is good, I would say.
And it is a good dry hump. They both come from the dry hump.
That's right.
Her boobs come out in England or wherever they are, Scotland.
Right.
Boobs are out in Scotland, in England Times, but in Highlander Times in Scotland.
Right.
Anyway, boobs are out. Duckies.
Her duckies are quacking. And and then he was going to stop because, quote unquote, she's a lady, right? Because there are different tiers of people.
Right.
And she is at the
top one.
Yeah. But then she urged him on and begged him to show him what to do. And so he dry humps her some more.
Yeah, she gets on top of him by instinct. Yeah. Straddles him and is like, then she gets up
and then
there.
She's like, I don't know what to do.
And she doesn't know what to do next. We've all been there.
Right.
Like, we thought we had a plan, and then we get there, and we're like, oh, I don't know. So she's straddling him, and she's like, oh, I don't really know what to do next. And he's like, you've won.
Don't worry,
do with me what you will. And she's like, I really don't have a plan from here on out. Yeah.
So he takes care of you guys. It's fine.
It's fine.
And since he's not wearing pants because he's a true Highland warrior of the braves and the wonderful, he
good work, Melody.
Thank you. He realizes that he has come all over himself and all over her.
Wait. Not before. She just falls right to sleep.
Oh, like she conks the fuck out like she's been chloroformed.
And then she's just like...
she's like drooling on his chest within seconds of coming.
And he's just like, man, this bitch is tired, I guess. And like, it's after breakfast. Like, it's not like it's even late.
Yeah, that was really unbelievable to me. But then what's even better is that he doesn't even like talk to her sweetly or try to get her up or anything. No. He just picks her up. Meanwhile, she's still comatose. So, she goes from on the ground.
The problem is everybody's covered in jizz.
That's the one.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. And so he picks her up. No comment. No like, hey,
no
Sade,
chats.
Hey, Sade, maybe we should go to the lock and wash all this jizz off.
No.
None of that.
You know what, Erin? He really fenelled her with a branch, except now it's a lock.
Yeah. All they do. These two don't understand anything about like talking to people, consent, empathy, helping people out. Like not. It's all about them. And he's like, must wash jizz off. She is a thing that I will now throw into the lock to get the jizz off her dress. I was just like,
just
she's
like
not
his plaid
object. Yeah.
So don't worry, there's hilarious antics in which she wakes, and also the waking violently didn't make a whole lot of sense to me because A, she's just been in the lock. Her whole dress is just as cold, I think, as the water, if not colder.
Right.
Anyway, she wakes up, she climbs him like a cat trying to get out of a bath, and he ends up ass over tea kettle with his face in the mud in the thing, and he's like, you tried to drown me, and she's like, no, you tried to drown me. I was fucking sleeping, bro.
Yeah, I mean, like, she has a point there. If we believe everything up until that point, she's right.
Yeah. Anyway, they go back to the castle. Encounter over. All right.
Okay.
Now, she goes to talk to Fenella, and she tries to convince her to leave her room. Gets about halfway down the stairs before Fenella bursts into a puddle of noisy sobs. And she's like, oh, God, why? Why is this happening again?
God, she hates it.
So many times in the book, she's like, she didn't know what to do with these kind of females.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you mean people? Like any person might be upset?
She's like, oh, God, people like this. I can't with them.
Yeah. So she leaves to go, like, get her maid or she's going to get somebody to pawn Fenella off on.
Yeah.
And she gets her some flowers because she's like, she's a basic bitch. Flowers work, right?
Well, she had told her that Alan, this is also stupid on Sade's part because she's like, Alan got me fresh flowers every morning. So in Sade's mind, she's like, Fenella like flowers. I guess I'll get flowers to get her to shut her big gob. And so she's like, I'll go get flowers. Not thinking like her dead husband got her flowers every morning. Maybe you getting her flowers is not like the best course of action here, but whatever. So she goes to get her flowers.
Yeah.
When she comes back, she sees in the great hall or whatever, Fenella sobbing in Greer's arms. Okay.
All right. And she immediately has a toxic masculinity response.
Horrible response. She clutches the flowers so tightly that the thorns go into her skin on her hands. And she's like, ouch. Because she's so jealous of Greer holding the grieving widow of 2 weeks, Fenella, as she just sobs into his shirt. So Greer...
But don't worry, guys. Greer fixes it because he looks over at her, he looks horrified, and he mouths to Sade, what do I do?
What do I do with this bitch? And in Greer's inner monologue, he's like, Fenella's crying all over my new linen shirt that I just changed because it was wet from the lock. I went upstairs, I changed my fucking shirt, and now this bitch is sobbing into it. Now it's fucking wet again. Like, that's his inner monologue. It's like, you guys might be thinking maybe she's like wailing over the top in a way that actually is annoying. No. Fenella.
There's no indication of that.
Just normal, regular crying. No, she's never said anything to me that signifies annoying or like too much. Anyway.
No. So, okay. So Greer scoops her up and takes her upstairs. Meanwhile, Lady McDonald comes in and she's like, hey, I was thinking about getting my maid to help me with some sewing. And Sade's like, no, I can do that because I also know some of the womanly arts.
Right.
And so they go sit down and they have a very, very pivotal conversation. a few things happen. First, they do a lot of knocking on Fenella while raising up the fact that Sade is not a typical lady.
Well, here's the thing is, like, I think that sometimes the best way to bond with a new friend is to shit talk somebody else.
I mean, fair.
But if you're gonna shit talk somebody else to bond with a new friend,
grieving widow?
Yeah, maybe not this woman who's done like she's Jesus. Like, it's so mean. They're just like, oh man, she's still crying, you know? Like, she's still super sad about this husband thing. And Sade's like, no, she was like this, like, when she was little too.
Sade,
specifically, Sade's like,
always been like this.
She says, anytime Fenella doesn't get her way, she cries. And it's like, her husband died. Like, I can't.
Well, and actually, that is something that Lady McDonald points out. Like, Sade tells her a story about when Fenella came to visit during childhood, and she wanted to play with dolls, and Sade wanted to play Buccaneers with her brothers. And so she would cry because she's never encountered a family like this before.
Right.
She has been raised as a sheltered, tiny woman child. Yeah. And only allowed to play with dolls, only allowed to learn how to sew. Like, she's had a regular gentry lady upbringing. Right. And then all of a sudden she enters this house of chaos, and like they're pretending to dismember each other and being ridiculous.
And the only other little girl
Sade's
there
kicking every testicle she possibly can find.
And the only other little girl there doesn't want to play dolls with her and is basically like, fuck off. Your thing is stupid. Like, I'm going to do my thing. And then Sade's mom makes her play dolls with Fenella one day. Right. Sade hates it. And then is like, okay, the next day we're going to go play, you know, whatever, Marauders with
Buccaneers,
my brothers. And was like a total bitch to Fenella the whole time.
Well, yeah, she made her be the princess who gets stolen and saved and all of that.
Mm-hmm. So that's a story about how Fenella sucks, you guys.
Yeah. Yep.
And they're just like, yeah, she always cries when she doesn't get her way.
Right. And then we find out that Lady McDonald has suspicions about Alan's death because in addition, she's like, well, the first one, obviously bandits, there's no getting out of that. And Sade is like, ee. And then she's like, the second one, though, I was there for, and I helped prepare the body in the morning. Like, first of all, fucking Fenella.
I can't.
Goddamn useless.
So, Fenella, this guy does sex on her and then rolls over and Fenella thinks, yeah, fine, whatever. But they're done. She thinks he goes to sleep. She wakes up the next morning next to a cold corpse. That is traumatic for a person.
Hugely traumatic.
And what's her face? McDonald makes fun of the fact that Fenella the next morning was like distraught and wouldn't help them prepare the body for burial. It's like, you married this old dude who sucked, who sexually assaulted you that night, then died, and then you woke up next to his corpse, and then in there an hour later, they're like, would you mind giving it a sponge bath, though? And you're like, you know what? I just need a break. I just need
5 minutes. Yeah. Can I have 5 minutes?
Can I just have an hour? Get a bubble bath, get my bubbles and books on, and then I'll be right back at you. And they're like, oh my God, what a loser. Like, she can't even buck up and wash the corpse of her dead rapist husband. I just can't.
So Lady McDonald is like, I saw a feather in the back of his throat, and I think it's because he might have been suffocated by a goose pillow. And I know this because I had 3 kids before my Alan, and the wet nurse smothered 3 of them. And she says it in the most casual way. Yeah. She's like completely cavalier about this. She's like, oh yeah, those 3 dead bairns of mine were murdered in their sleep before their first year had passed.
Yeah.
And then doesn't talk about what happened to the wet nurse.
No.
Doesn't talk about anything. She just moves on.
Also, their eyes were bloodshot with petechia or whatever. So
correct.
She noticed that the old dude's eyes were bloodshot too, but that's not really a great clue because he's old.
Old as fuck.
Yeah, eyes get bloodshot
his
anyway,
eyes were
but still.
often
bloodshot. Goose feather.
They talk about the fact that her son was gay.
Yeah.
She's like,
the son Alan, that was married to Fenella.
Yeah, and Lady McDonald's like, honestly, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense because I know that Fenella really liked the fact that he wasn't trying to fuck her ever.
Right, yeah. But Sade is really like, the fact that this guy Alan was just totally cool with telling his mom, like, hey, I'm not into ladies, I'm into dudes in like 15, 16, 19, whatever year this is.
Sure.
Is like really astounding. And she's just like, yeah,
it is.
He explained it to me like, I don't like fish, and I never decided that I didn't like fish. And if somebody told me that I had to have fish for every meal, I wouldn't want to eat fish. She's very woke.
Also, did you find it
gross
hilarious
that it was fish?
That it was fish?
Yeah, I did. I did find it gross that it was fish.
They rarely bathed. Okay. So,
especially Millie. If anyone is wondering if after that scene where Millie smelled like onions and had a dirty face, if she's ever coming back, the answer is no.
Oh no, Millie's gone into the fiction mist.
Literally never mentioned again.
Nope. Gone.
Done.
She done been used. She served her purpose. She's over.
Hashtag justice for Millie.
Move on from Millie, everybody. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask about her anymore.
Stop asking about Millie.
Stop it. She's not even a person.
She's fine.
She's a maid.
She's fine. She's not even a person. She's a maid.
God. So, okay. So then, Lady McDonald is like, although I do wonder, like, I don't think it would be in her best interest to kill Alan. However, my dad came back from the Crusades with this story about the scorpion and the frog. We are not getting into
I'm
this
not
because
telling
it's told
you the scorpion and the frog, guys.
No, Google it.
Listener.
And it's also, we also have to read about it 2 times. And one of them is a very elongated scene, which we'll get to. The punchline is both of them die because it's in the scorpion's nature.
Yeah. If
That's
I had
it.
$1 for every time I had to read The Scorpion and the Frog in a romance novel, and it doesn't even seem like something it would be like in a lot of romance novels, but it is for some reason. Like, I would have like $50.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like a lot of money, but it is a lot of times.
This.
Yeah.
So, if I had $1,000 for every time. Okay. So, Sade decides she's going to go for a ride. And she's like, I got to clear my head. And Greer sees her go into the stable. And so he's like, I'm going to go figure out what's happening with that lady in the stable.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks in. He sees Sade saddling her own horse. And he thinks to himself,
loves it.
Regular ladies would just stand there wringing their hands, being useless, maybe crying about the fact that there's not a stable boy around. But not this lady. Not mayhap my lady.
Yeah.
And so he walks in. He's like, you going for a ride? And she's like, yeah, I am. And he's like, you could ride me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stops and he's like, wait, no. I meant you could like take a ride with me, the thing. And she walks right up to his face and she's like, I think I'd enjoy a ride since I enjoyed our last ride. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, snap. Let's get your duckies out. Quack, quack.
Darkwing duckies.
Oh. So they start making out. He gets her duckies out. And they are just quacking in the breeze.
Can I say that often her duckies are described as soft globes
or round globes. Yeah.
So if you like the idea of a soft globe getting pressed up against something in your romance novels, this book is for you. And quacking. Yeah.
That's the one. So all of a sudden he's like, as much as I like these Darkwing duckies, this isn't actually as this is not actually as sneaky as I thought it would be, because anybody could walk in at any point. Mm-hmm. So he stops and he's like, we got to get you put back together. Mm-hmm. And she's like, how fucking dare you?
How dare you? I've got blue balls like a man.
That's the one. Yeah, I've got the lady blue balls.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I guess I could help you take care of that. And we get
traditional Highlander finger banging. He plays her like a bagpipe.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah.
I wish I could make a mouth sound like a bagpipe. I can't. Anyway, okay.
So she comes like a bagpipe, basically. And then he's like, you shouldn't go ride alone. It's not safe. I'm going to send the 9-year-old
my 9-year-old
with you.
squire with you to protect you. This kid, like, the idea that she shouldn't ride alone and, like, have a 9-year-old with her in case something happens is insane. And he's described as being a 17-year-old man at least. Like, later in the book, they talk about how muscular he is. And I'm like, he's 9. How is that even? He's 9 years old. Anyway.
Well, he's wiry. You know what, though? He may be 9, Erin, muscular. But he has a penis.
Yeah, so he's more capable than her. Even
That's
though
what I'm saying.
She nearly bested him at a sword fight that she had to cheat at.
That he had to cheat. Yeah. So, okay. Oh, and then as he's walking out of the thing,
oh my God,
he's still got a huge heart on. And remember, guys, it's a beast. It's a beast.
I can't with this.
And so
this is the weirdest shit. This is so weird.
He walks out of the stable and his Beastmaster walks in. I don't know what they're called.
Oh, I thought you were talking about his penis. When you said he walked out in his Beastmaster, I was like, ooh, we're upgrading it to a master.
No, he is the Beastmaster,
yeah, he's
obviously.
A horse person.
No, I mean, if anybody... So he has a beast, and then, of course, he has to be the... Greer is the Beastmaster. So the stable guy walks in, and he's like, oh, Malaire, do you need me to saddle up your pony? And he's like, no, but do you have a saddle for this monster that's happening in my plaid? God. Because the guy looks down and is like, I see you got one of those impressive boners going.
He's like, this goes on for like a page in a real weird way where he's like, do you want to saddle up this monster? And he's like, looks like you might need a whip for that one if you want to tame it and blah, blah, blah. Like it goes on forever while you're just making that, like, you know, the clenched teeth emoji. Everyone reading this is making that face. Like, who is this guy? Is this how men talk to each other? Where they're like, hey, dude, check out this boner. It's big, right?
Right.
How do you think how to tame it? Like, I was like...
And then the stable guy's like, if I had a saddle for mine, maybe I'd have less kids.
It's like, what? What are you guys talking about? What is happening? Is this now a gay romance? And they're about to be like, yeah, it is nice. Anyway, let's get this on, TM.
The guy is just trying to be helpful in any way he possibly can be to his laird.
Maybe he's trying to get a raise.
So she goes off with the 9-year-old, and his like sort of overall character trait is that he's always trying to reform misbehaving people around him. Right. So they pick apples because she's got this nefarious plot to make Fenella's favorite dessert so that she can low-key interrogate her more.
Here, Fenella, have some simple carbs and confess to me. That's something that interrogators do for sure. Give somebody an apple turnover and they're gonna sing
like a canary.
I saw you about to finish it and I'm like, but is she though? There was so much head nodding. You're like, oh, like a canary.
That's the one. So he's telling her she's not a real lady, and she's like, fuck off, you're 9, get out of here. And she's right. So
yes, she's correct about that. Why are you here? He rides a pony, you guys.
So she goes back, and the cook can't get the dessert done in time. And so she's like, aw, shucks.
Yeah.
And she's just like, fuck Fenella. I don't want to talk to her anyway. And I don't have baked goods to bribe her with. So what am I to do? Oh, I'll just have dinner with Greer. So everybody leaves. And this is where she starts attempting to tell him the Scorpion and the Frog story. Google it.
Fascinating.
And he also has not heard it. So...
Because it's the Dark Ages or whatever. So I'm sure it hasn't...
Dark times.
Yeah.
So he keeps on getting interrupted by pesky servants needing things from him.
Oh my God.
And she finally is just like, you know what? Fuck this and fuck you. I'm never going to get through this story, so I'm not going to do it anymore. Bye. And... I actually liked this part.
I did too.
She was just like, I gotta go.
Not worth it.
I don't have time for this. Like, the payoff is not good enough.
Yeah,
for this
we've all
nonsense.
been there where we're telling a story that we're really not even sure is fun anyway, and then it gets interrupted like 3 times, and everyone's like, okay, back to your story. And you're like, yeah, now I don't know that it's worth it.
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
So she starts heading up the stairs and then notices that he's following her.
Oh, hello.
That Greer.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to her door and he's like, we won't have any distractions in here.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, Malaire.
Mm-hmm.
So he picks her up, puts her on his lap and he's like, we're going to play a game. You're going to try to finish the story before I have you distracted and screaming with orgasm.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't hate this game.
Great story. But she says to him, the thing is, like, I really want that orgasm, but, like, also, I really want to win. So this is hard for me because I like winning, but I also like getting off. I really like that part. That she was, like, not willing to sacrifice the win.
That's right. Yeah. She's a Slytherin. I'm sure of it.
Oh, God. So, oh, no. Knife to the heart.
You know what? I think she's a Slytherdor.
Yeah.
Mostly a Gryffindor, but she's got those Slytherin undertones.
That's fine if she's a Slytherin, but she's also an evil wizard. Like, she's not a good Slytherin. She's a Voldemort Slytherin. She's a Malfoy. She's a Narcissa. Is it Narcissa?
She's a Bellatrix.
How are you pronouncing that?
Bellatrix.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know, man.
There was like a flourish on it. Bellatrix.
I like Bellatrix.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right. Yeah.
I think it's Narcissa Malfoy. I don't know. Come at me, guys.
Anyway.
That won't be Ansi. That'll be Blair.
What's happening over there?
I'm saying who's going to email us about pronouncing names wrong. I don't know who it's going to be, but it's going to be someone.
It'll be someone. Okay. So he's getting all up on her as she's telling this story. He snakes his hand up under her dress and then realizes that she's not wearing the braids that she had been wearing before, and he goes into full meltdown mode.
Catatonic.
He has to stop everything.
I didn't get that. Well, first of all, I hate this thing in romance novels where the man gets like too into it and then is like, don't move. If you move even an eyelash
could happen.
I will turn into rape monster. Like, so don't move. Like, that's so weird to me. But like, also, he just finger banged her out in the stables without any.
She was wearing braids.
But he had his hand all the way down.
Yes,
and was like touching her actual parts. So I don't know why having her actual parts available to him.
So they were kind of available in the stable. Now she is straddling him.
Okay.
So really all he would have to do is pull up his plaid and enter her and it's over.
Yeah, I guess I kind of forget the whole like the kilt situation because I was thinking there was like pants between. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
And he certainly doesn't have underpants on.
No. Whoa.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Okay, I get it a little more, but still this don't move thing is stupid. I hate that in romance novels. It happens all the time.
Yeah. So she's like, would it really be so terrible if you took your pleasure from me as well? Like, I want to give you some of that.
Yeah.
And he's like, dear God, you swear like a warrior, fight like one too, but have no survival instinct to speak of. And she takes huge offense to that, as I would as well.
Yes.
And she's like, you know what? No, that's wrong. And so he sets her up on her feet to like get her vaginal entrance as far away from him as possible.
And this is one of those magic times because she's topless and he picks her up by the waist. And when he picks her up by the waist, her skirt falls to the floor. And then he just holds her out there at arm's length naked and admires her. Her feet are not on the floor. Like he has got her entirely held up like a doll.
Or a toddler or a cat.
Or a bird.
Like under the armpits or something weird.
Maybe around her waist.
Well, but that sounds even more uncomfy.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's not a good... How big is she? She's got to be...
Not.
Teeny tiny. Huge knockers, though.
But it's always contradictory because A, she's always got the voluptuous curves. Yeah. And then later on, they say that Fenella is more waifish and she's more muscular.
Sure.
I don't know.
Okay. She's teeny tiny. He can get his whole hands around her waist. Bird boned, very light, but also huge jugs and muscles.
And muscular.
So that's what Sage looks like. And that's the dream girl that he's been dreaming about since his adolescence.
Just conjure that up in your brain.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Don't worry. It won't be hard at all. So
all right.
She finishes the story and she's like, I win.
Uh-huh.
And he says, it may be the end of my aunt's story, but it's just the beginning of ours. And he walks across the room, still holding her like a vase. And puts her down.
Yep, just deposits her on the bed like an object.
Just right there.
And then just leaves. Wait, no.
And
first he asks.
No.
Yeah. Go.
He asks, how long will it take to ride to your brother's house? And she's like, I don't know, like half a day. And he's like, all right, I'm going to fuck off. You stay here. You stay naked. You stay beautiful. I'll be right back.
Stay beautiful. I'll be right back. And I was like, is he going to ride to, is this a secretary moment where he's like,
right?
Stay there. Defecate if you need to, but I'm going to ride. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know the secretary moment I'm talking about? That's what I thought was happening. And I'm like, this has not been a BDSM style relationship so far, but is he saying stay right there while I ride to your brother's house and back? But no, that's not what happens.
So I actually did like this part because she gets to collect her thoughts and we get to see a peek into her brain. And she's like, I've never been a lady that lairds will want to marry. So I've always planned on being just by myself my whole life. So I'm really excited to take my pleasure while I can and like be hot and be with this sexy dude and not have any kind of strings or anything weird. But
to be fair, you don't like what he does, right? Because what he does is fucked up.
He stealths the shit out of her. Yeah. He stealths her 2 times.
Twice in one night.
And in really varying and impressive ways. Yeah,
but also, can I comment on this lady thing that you just said?
Oh, sure.
Because I think there's like a two-sided thing here. Mm-hmm. Either I made this up in my brain parts or I think somebody may have commented on the cult about it, because there's already been a thread about some people not liking this book. So I read the thread, but you didn't.
I stayed away from the thread.
Yeah, I read the thread, but it seemed like, weirdly, the thread was very #justice for Millie. You guys, no one in the cult gives a shit about Fenella, too. This whole book, I was like, I hated them for not giving a shit about Fenella. Everybody in the cult was like, Millie. And I was like, Fenella, though. But I didn't comment or anything. But one of the things that one of them talked about, I think, was the idea that she's got this whole attitude of like, she's a guy and she's going to do the sword and have the breeches and do the... And, like, she doesn't give a shit about swearing and that kind of thing. And she's going to take her pleasure where she can get it and whatever. She doesn't care about ruination. But then also has this other side of her that's supposed to be so naive and innocent of, like, I've never kissed a man and I don't know how it works. And, like, she gasps and then he kisses her more. Like, she has that whole thing, too. Where it's like, either you're a lady who knows about butt sex or you're a lady who has never been kissed before and doesn't understand how to do it. But you can't have both. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, I think I disagree with that, though. Yeah. Because I think you can know a lot of things intellectually. I think you can talk a lot about things, but then have a different physical reaction when you experience it.
I think that's valid.
You know what I mean? I think that you can definitely... okay, for example, I was older when I decided to finally, like, have penis and vagina sex. I was, like, almost 20. And I had very experienced friends, and I obviously have always been me. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been at the table for any kind of illicit conversation.
Yes.
So, like, there was definitely a moment where I knew intellectually all of the moving parts. My partner and I had tried another time to have sex, and it like hurt, and I was like, stop, and it didn't happen, and it bleh. Mm-hmm. And then the next time I got on top, but I had no idea what I knew I was supposed to be on top. I knew where the penis was supposed to go, but I had no idea like how to move my hips or like whether it's up and down. Exactly. Like I knew a lot about sex, but I had no idea how to enact the mechanics, which that's the impression I got, and I found it believable.
That's totally fair. I just wanted to say it because I had noticed it in the thread.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really interesting. Anyway, okay.
All right, so he comes back.
And he starts undressing in front of her. Mm-hmm. And then she sees his erection and she immediately goes to grab it because I think she and Millie had a talk a while ago.
Is this the part where it grows? I think this is it. Because he comes in flaccid and she's like weird and starts like poking at it. And then she watches it grow before her eyes. And this description was not something I was about. Like, about it growing and like changing.
Actually, I was just like, my note is she reaches for his growing erection. And I don't like it.
No.
And he's like, wow, you're not shy at all. And she goes, I know, ladies should be shy. And he goes, I like you like this. Mm-hmm. And it's really sweet, actually. So they start smooching, and then he puts her back on the bed, and he starts going down on her. She comes like a freight train.
Literally.
Don't worry, guys. No, doesn't scream yet.
I thought he had to put his hand over her mouth.
Sure, totally. He puts his hand over her mouth. I'm just saying it's not the scream.
Well, here's the thing. Lady McDonald heard something.
You want to know what she heard?
She heard the next thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought she was there so immediately. I just assumed that she had to have heard the first one. Okay. All right, keep going.
No.
Sorry.
So he primes the pump a little bit by going down on her.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, she's laying there just coming down from her orgasm.
So happy. Ready to go to sleep again.
She's just a cat on a hot tin roof. She's feeling all languid.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And then all of a sudden, she just cries out in horrible pain.
Yep.
Because she notices that he's climbing up, and then all of a sudden, she literally says, "What did you stab me with?"
Yep.
And he's like, "Just me. I've never taken anybody's virginity before, but
I've heard it hurts."
Yeah. So I thought I should just get it over with.
Like a Band-Aid.
Just thrust right in.
It says, Sade was vaguely aware of Greer moving and a slight breeze replacing the heat of a moment ago between her legs, and then something nudged at her opening before thrusting into her. This time it was much larger than the finger he had been using much earlier, something that sent pain screaming through her body, tearing away the gossamer wings of the pleasure she'd been enjoying. Sade instinctively sat up with a roar and struck out defensively before he caught her hands to prevent further blows. Jesus!
Oh my God.
She says, "I thought you would run me through with a sword," when he explains what he did. It's like, whoa.
Yikes. So he totally, okay, maybe this isn't stealthing, but he certainly went from point A to point M without any kind of conversation once again.
Arguably she wasn't ruined until that moment. Maybe just like a confirmation of like, you sure you want to...
Are we sure you want to go on with the ruination?
Just like a double check of the ruining?
No.
Not
Greer. So... her first time is great, you guys.
She does come somehow.
Oh, that's so unbelievable.
Yeah. So he's in her and she's just like, "I just need a breather.
Hang on.
Just stay in there.
Just stay still.
Don't move." This is a normal kind of don't move, in my opinion. Just let me get used to this. It's going to be okay. Right. And then you can start moving again. And at that moment, Lady McDonald knocks on the door and is like, "Hey, I heard you screaming out in pain. Are you good?"
Yeah. Are you dead?
Because that, HBs... is what you do when you hear a female relative screaming in pain in their bedroom. That's what you do.
Erin, only if they are a woman worthy of your attention.
Yeah. Or if it's not like, "Oh God, that chick, she screams all the time. Every time she's in danger, she screams."
Oh, it's amazing. So they have this whole conversation, which goes on for an awkwardly long time. And Sade tries to convince her that it was just a nightmare and the whole thing. Anyway, Lady McDonald finally fucks off. Greer continues boning her. She actually comes, which I just don't believe. And then they finish. Oh, one thing I really liked when he came back up, we forgot to say this, is that she was like, "Dude, it's so disappointing." And he's like, "What? I thought you were excited about me like undressing or whatever." And she's like, "I thought you were going to get food."
Yeah, I really thought food was going to be part of this.
Yeah. So anyway, they end up having sex a few more times that night. And he does go get them food at some point. And I think that's where we have to leave off for this week.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Don't worry, guys. You can be on pins and needles until next week when you find out the second way that he stealthed her.
Yeah. The second, like, totally non-consensual thing that happened that night.
Yeah.
And then this turns into much more of a murder mystery novel than, still romance, but...
yeah, there's still sexy times.
More people start dropping dead in the castle. We're looking for a murderer next time.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. Okay. So, Erin, do you have a lady love?
Yes. It is on
tell me all about
the Facebook group. So... somebody posted, "Hey, what does everybody do for work?" And then hundreds of HBs commented what they did for work. And it is incredible what all of these women and sometimes a couple of men do for work. It's insane.
Yeah.
You guys are all like super brilliant professionals out there and like have diversity in what you guys do. Like it's incredible. Like it was astounding. It made my heart soar.
Oh, completely.
Also, like side hustles and just creative things people are doing. Like there are a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm just kind of like between things, or like I stay home with my kids, but also I paint these incredible paintings or do these incredible, like it wasn't even all jobs. It was just like,
or look at this entire sweater I made. Like
just
what?
like creative stuff. Like you wouldn't believe, like everybody in this group is like a fucking genius.
They're amazing.
Maybe there's a couple that aren't, but they didn't comment. They stayed away from that thread if they weren't geniuses, because everyone that commented is. And so then one of our HBs, Natalie, decided to do, she's going to do like once a week. She got like a form or something for everybody to fill out. And then every week they're going to do like an Ask Me Anything called Ask a Badass.
Ask a Badass.
And somebody's going to put up there like, okay, this is who I am. This is what I do. This is what I'm interested in. These are my creative endeavors. Ask me anything. And we had the first one this last week. It was Haley of Persephone and Hades fame. And
it was so fun.
It was incredible. And the questions were incredible. They were great questions. And it just made me so happy.
Yeah.
So that's what has made me so happy. That's my lady love.
Yeah, same. That cult is just a fount of lady love, like completely. Yeah, so mine is sort of similar. No, it's not. My lady love.
No, it's not.
My lady love is left over a little bit from Comic-Con. There are a couple of artists that I think people might be interested in. One of them is Karen Hallian. She does a lot of illustrations that are often really feminist. She refers to herself as a part-time Jedi, which I really like. And her Instagram handle is Karen Hallian Art, Hallion. And she just started this She series that is like profiles of different fictional characters with verbs right next to them. So the Wonder Woman one says wonder. There's a Leia one that says rebel. There's an Anne of Green Gables one that says imagine. Like it's really, really good. So check that out because it's super feel good. And then I also really love Brett Weldell. He's one of my favorite watercolorists, and he's also a comic book artist. His is BRETTWELDELE. And he's done a couple of custom pieces for us. He's done one custom piece for us. I'm sorry. We have another one that's sort of percolating in our brains. But I've got like, I want to say 4 of his prints hanging in various places in my house. My watercolor Leia in my office is him. And I just got a rainbow Rambo at Comic-Con. It's super buff, crazy, aggressive Rambo, except in the style of Rainbow Bright with a unicorn included. And it makes me very happy.
Awesome.
So he's another one that's really, really fun. They'll liven up your feed, and it's good to support artists.
Yeah.
So, and we've got a couple of artists in the cult.
Yes,
too.
we do.
They're, like, crazy talented.
Super talented artists.
Yeah. Haley Fraser and Rachel Ross are both incredibly talented. So it's super exciting. And you can find us on all the places.
Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook, Heaving Bosoms Podcast and Heaving Bosoms Podcast Geriatric Friendship Cult. You can find us on Twitter at heaving_bosoms, on Instagram at Heaving Bosoms, and on Gmail at heavingbosomspodcast@gmail.com. You can send us emails.
Yeah, and we love getting emails.
Yes.
So keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as no one loves or takes care of or gives any fucks about Fenella. So take that and do the opposite, but for yourself.
Inverse.
Yeah, invert it.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And
Hashtag
to yourself.
Justice for Fenella.
It only gets worse for her, too.
God, it's going to get so bad, you guys. You don't even know. All right.
All right. Erin, I love you tons.
I love you, too.
I will chat with you soon.
Hopefully this recording worked. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. we are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.